I got my Xbox Series X and I have a video review covering my impressions on it. You've probably seen hundreds of these videos already and everything other people said is true. The console is quiet, temperatures are within what you would expect from a console this powerful, and the SSD is fast. Just like the console itself, there are hundreds of videos talking about the controller, but I haven't seen anyone addressing it from the point of view of someone who plays mostly racing games, so that's what I'm gonna be focusing on throughout this video. The new controller is definitely different in subtle ways, and these small nuances actually make a lot of difference for racing games. When compared to the Xbox One controller, the new one is smaller and you'll definitely feel the difference. The weight distribution is more balanced as well, which helps you feel less like a cheap toy and more like something that's better built and well thought out. It also feels a lot more premium than the Xbox One controller because it borrows some of the stuff you find on the Xbox Elite Controller Series 2. Both the back of the controller and the triggers are textured. This may seem like a minor detail, but when you're playing long sessions it makes a lot of difference because it helps your fingers stay on the triggers without having to adjust your grip due to your fingers slipping off, which might be an issue if you're doing endurance races or ovals. The D-pad is miles better than the Xbox One controller. It's concave and for that reason your thumb will naturally rest over it. It's also very clicky, which I like a lot. The bumper buttons on the other hand lost some of that clickiness of the original controller. However, the biggest difference of this new version is on the triggers. The area where you rest your fingers is shorter, which won't take you long to adjust to. In-game though, the pressure curve feels a lot smoother. On the Xbox One controller, the triggers have always felt light on press. On the new one, they still feel light, but there's a sense of smoothness that's not present in the old one. I think that's gonna be a divisive aspect of the controller for those who play racing games because some people might feel that's too mushy. In Forza Horizon 4, for instance, thanks to the smoother pressure curve, it's far easier to be smooth coming out of corners than it was in the original controller, which is definitely a plus. It's just that it's going to take some getting used to for people who built their muscle memory around the pressure curve of the other controller. The rumble on the triggers also feel a lot more subtle than on the Xbox One controller, which again, some people will like and others won't. You see that I'm comparing this controller a lot to the regular controller, and that's because that's the one most people will have access to. But as I said, this controller borrows a lot from the Elite controller, and you might be asking yourself, how does it fare against it? Well, it doesn't. The Elite Series 2 has more detailed and stronger rumble across the body of the controller as well as the triggers. The area where you rest your fingers on the triggers is a bit longer, which some people might prefer, and there's a lot more heft overall. And of course you have the pedals on the back, which come in handy for racing games. For these reasons, the Elite Series 2 still remain as the superior one. Still, I think it's a great thing that Microsoft has brought some stuff from the premium controller over to the regular one. I'm sure a lot of you are gonna appreciate most of these changes, even if some of them will require some adapting. Overall, it's a pretty solid controller, and all of the minor details they added make for a decent step up over the previous one. My only concern is in regards to the durability of the D-pad. Xbox controllers have a history of failing D-pads, and I've had two that stopped registering certain directions. Since this is a long-term scenario, I can't really tell whether they fixed it. Over the last gen, the Xbox One controller was my controller of choice for racing games. The DualShock 4 was a massive step up over the DualShock 3, but it wasn't as comfortable or as suited for racing games as the Xbox One controller. I'm not sure whether that's gonna hold up when I compare it to the DualSense, which I'll definitely do when I get my PS5 over the next few weeks. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you wanna see that comparison, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye.